Okay, so this video we will talk about array list. Ideally, we can talk about the array list class after array, right? Um, but the reason I move array list after we talk about user customized class is I want you guys to understand the class first, because once you know the class, you should be able to understand return type, access modifier, um, why we use a different type of the method like a non-static, static. So after you understand this, you should be able to understand array list easily, okay? And you should be able to compare array list with array, then come up your own knowledge, okay, to choose what array or array list to be used in your project. Okay, so in this class, I will just make up some method we should discuss in the array, okay, and introduce array list. In the array list, I will give you guys some examples about how to use the method, and give you guys understand, what's the big difference between array and array list. Um, in the end of this week, I will talk about enhanced for loop. So basically, it's another it's very useful for the array list. Okay, the another loop for loop format. Okay, so first, so in the array, there is two very important method we didn't talk about. Okay, this is split. Okay, um, split is a method to help you to split the word into different elements of array, okay, based on this token. Okay, so you can see we create a string, okay. In this string is worth the best time, is worth the best of time, or it's worth the worst of times, okay. Each word we use a white space, okay, to separate them, okay. So then we call the split method, okay. The token we use the white space, right, which exactly the one we separate the word, okay. Once we're doing this, this will return array list with a string, okay. Both of them is consistent, right. So what will make us to get is looks like this, okay. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Okay, each of them separated by the white space. Okay, we're using this split. So you need to be careful to use this split method. The first thing is the token, how you separate those words into the array. Okay, so you can use, some people using the white space, some people using a special character, or using special the word to separate the sentence, right. So in this example, we one of array using the white space, another is using the comma, right? Using a comma, basically we separate them two different words, right? So once you have this one, okay, they can help you to separate them. Another thing you need to be careful, this split method will return with, okay, this is a type array. Okay, what does type mean? Type means this the one we call the split. Okay, for example, string s1. Okay, if we call the split will return the string array. Okay, so two things you have to be careful. Okay, one is token. So what token you want to be choose to separate different word into different array. Okay, another one, this method will return the string. The will return as array. Okay, not boolean or not string. It's a array. Okay. Another one I want to talk about is two try array. Okay, two try array basically it help you to return a word to different character. As we know, so in every word, every character they stand for something in the in a Unicode, right? So for the two try array, okay, so this has no parameter you need to input, okay, then you can use s1, okay, or you can use something common zero, okay, common zero. So basically is this is zero, this is one, right? Based on this line, okay, common zero, we want to make every character including white space or comma or period, so everything in this word instead of one character, right? So this will help us to get this try array. Okay, the try array, one thing you need to be careful, this return, the type is try, okay, which is a character. Okay, so this one you have to be careful. Okay, so there's no input parameter, and this method return with character array. Okay. Okay. So let's get back to array list. So we know how to create an array. Okay, using the data type bracket, right? So I just the data type with the name, right? Then you got new data type, right? With the size. Okay, so this is the way we create an array. But obviously, you cannot see any keyword of array in this format, right? But when we create array list, it's very different when we use array list. Okay, we use keyword array list. Okay, make sure the first one is capitalized. Then we have bracket. Okay, it's different. Okay, inside we put the data type. Okay, so here you need to be careful. This data type cannot be primitive data type. What's a primitive data type? If you still remember, that is the lowercase, the first level case, right? Int, uh, byte, long, right? Short, double, float, try, boolean, right? So all of them, they cannot put into this type. Okay, so which give us a big difference. The first difference when we use array. When you declare array, you can put any type of um, the data type into there, right? Right? You can use the int. You can use a double to declare array, right? But for the array list, you cannot use them. But the question will arise: if what if I want to create array list which include the int, double, float, boolean? How should we do this? Because sometimes it's not just the only string, person, animal, some sort of the type, right? So here you need to just recall one of the very basic class we talked about in last semester, which is we call wrap class, right? The wrap class, we use the first letter, capitalized letter, int, okay? So if we're doing this, this can be used in the array list, okay? Which means, because we know, okay, all the primitive data type has a wrapper class, right? The double using a double capital D, or F floats using a capital F, whatever you call, okay, the 8 different primitive data type, they all have wrapper class, okay? So other than you should know you can use any other class, okay? So because we know in the Java, all the built-in class, the first letter is capitalized, right? So as long as this type, the first letter is capitalized, we can consider they are class, right? So that's the big reason I always talk to you guys, like the type when you create your customized class, make sure your customized class, the class name, the first letter is capitalized, because this makes your consistency with the Java building library, right? So it's one makes you any misunderstand or confuse inconsistency to use the class you just create, right? All right, so there's different way you can declare, okay? Once you know how to declare array list, you should know how to initialize our array list. So here is it's very different when we say the start size. Okay, the start size basically, okay, so those is identifier, okay, the type, so it's also consistency. But for the start size, it's not the size you think about, okay? Because when we create its array, for example, array, okay, I int, so in here you can put 5, which means this int array only have the 5 element, right? But for here, it's different, okay? This 5 only means, if we create this 5, this only means its capacity. Okay, what's the capacity? The capacity means, okay, so in this room, we can set 5 peoples, okay? So here's 5 peoples. But they don't have to all of them get into their room. Okay, it only means this room be set can be sit for 5 people, but it doesn't mean the actual people get into there. But for the array, once you create 5 different room in here, they have to be 5 people already set into there. Okay, this make second big difference, okay, between array and array list. Okay, so here 5 only means capacity. Okay, and you can make as a number, or you can leave as default. Okay, there are 3 different ways we can write for array list. Okay, so basically it's 4 ways, right? So 4 of them are correct. Okay, but I recommend you doing in this way. It's more makes sense and easy to understand. Okay, what's the array list type? Because both of them sometimes it's not easy to understand. Okay, so here you should understand the difference between size and capacity. Okay, the capacity in the array list only mean, okay, they can afford at first time how many elements can be inside. Okay, but it doesn't mean they already set into there. Okay, but the size means how many actual elements, okay, filled with people or with actual value. Okay, so as default, if we leave the blank, okay, f the blank, something like this, okay, the default is 10. Okay, so can you tell what's the big difference between array and array list right now? It still confuse you what's the capacity and the size. Okay, so you think about this question. Okay, maybe take 5 minutes. What's the big difference? Then I will talk about in next video with some examples.